Hi and welcome back, everybody. Today I want to talk about Coca Cola Socialism, the cultural Cold War between the United States and the USSR after the Second World War, and what our politicians can learn from it today. So, the term Coca Cola Socialism derives actually from a book called Coca Cola Socialism, the Americanization of Yugoslav culture and everyday life during the 60s. The Cold War, we all know what the Cold War was, all the proxy wars that happened, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Afghan War, every proxy war that happened after the Second World War. But there was actually also a cultural front that was fought between the United States and the USSR. And the main battleground for that cultural war was actually Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia, for those who don't know, just a quick recap. Yugoslavia was actually a communist slash socialist country formed after the Second World War on the Balkan Peninsula. It was ruled by the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, and the head of the Communist Party of Yugoslavia was Josip Broz Tito. Everybody in the world thought that after the Second World War, Yugoslavia will join the Eastern powers, so they will fall under Stalin and Moscow. But in 1947, 1948, Tito, the head of the Communist Party, said to Stalin, no, and Stalin said back, no. So Yugoslavia was actually the first communist slash socialist country that said no to the Soviet Union. And the US saw a great opportunity, a great PR opportunity to get themselves a communist country to be against the Soviet Union. So they pumped a lot of money into Yugoslavia. They sent a lot of military equipment. They had normal diplomatic relationships with the country and so on. So there's a specific topic in the book I want to talk about, and it talks about the fairs that were held in Zagreb during the 60s. They were international fairs and they were open for the general public. What that meant, every country could come to the fair, present their newest technological achievements and so on. They would get a corner at that fair and present it to the Yugoslav general public. So just to simplify the story, the Soviets had one corner, the Americans had another corner. And actually almost everybody who came to the fair was actually going to the American corner. And now the question is why? It's actually a simple answer. So the Soviet corner was actually presenting almost only, military stuff, the newest rockets, the newest missile systems that they developed for war and whatever. But the American corner was actually presenting things that people could use in an everyday life, like, I'm just saying out loud now, dishwashers or something that people could use, small TVs, affordable TVs, and so on. So the American corner was actually more interesting for the general public and the civilians than the Soviet one, because they could use that in everyday life. And I don't want to go into capitalism, socialism, communism, libertarianism, and whatever, but I want to go into my conclusion. So the thing is, a lot of politicians have a wrong approach, I think, in dealing with totalitarian regimes or regimes that aren't democratic. Let's say the United States towards Iran. It's an authoritarian regime, and we all know what's going on in there. But international sanctions won't convince the general public inside of Iran to do something about their government or to change. Imagine yourself being in Iran and not knowing anything about the American way of life, the American ideas or whatever. You just see what you see, and that's the propaganda and everything that you have from your local government. And the same thing is with Cuba or any other country. I think that the real approach or the more meaningful approach is if you want to change the attitude of the population, and if you want to change the political system inside of a country, you need to open up that country for your values to flick in, present your ideas to the general public. And I know that international politics and international law is really complicated, but I think that with this example, I think it's really easy to see that it's quite easier to convince somebody with winning their hearts and minds and not sanctioning, bombing, or I don't know, invading them. So yeah, see ya.